a little village called Paranee, and I can't find that on the map anymore.
Were you in Shinampo? And I says, yeah. She says, you rescued my mother and father. I had no complaints about the food because I had a choice of what I wanted.
You really want to know?
You really do.
We were 5 miles off of Busan.
So that's my memories, of course.
2021 marks 71st commemoration of Korean War. Consulate General of the Republic of Korea hosted 3 different events, and we were able to talk with veterans who served in Korean War to remember and honor their service.
Enlisted in 1950. I took what the Navy called a pierhead jump. That is when they send you down to a ship to get on, and the ship is sailing. Korea had been called a police action, so we weren't considered veterans originally.
Forgotten war.
And that hurt. Because we had been there, we had been shot at, we had lost friends, and we came home basically to nothing.
Enlisted in August of 1950, 2 months after the Korea War started. Just a little history, I turned 18 in May of 1950. The Korea War started in June, and I was raised on a farm in northern Ontario. I hitched a ride to Toronto and joined the Army. Because at that time, I thought it was something I had to do. I spent it in a place called Takjan, which was a reinforcement center for the United Nations forces. I served there for 2 months before I came home. It was tough during the Depression and the Second World War, but when I went to Korea, I was amazed at how primitive it was. No sanitation, no running water, no central heating, and very little food.
Thank you, everyone. If you could please take your seats. Appreciate that. We needed the picture.
It's flowing up, we see the rise of your arms.
We started this our Korean War Veterans Luncheon 20 years ago.
The government and people of Korea will never forget your enduring contribution to the freedom and prosperity that we enjoy today.
What that is to know that we still have a responsibility to build a better world.
I can't imagine being at the front or in war, what people faced and what they had to do. They're all heroes. Everyone who went through that, including the civilians, were all heroes.
Precious Lord, today we honor our Korean war veterans and remembering their comrades.
When I look around to all my comrades that are here today and think of all those who have passed, it was a terrible waste, unfortunately, but people get hurt in wars. And unfortunately, the Korean people were just sort of a sidebar to everything that went on. And they suffered as much, if not more, I think, than the troops.
I was amazed at how fast the Republic of Korea rebuilt itself. And since my time back home, I have met many Koreans. I know many Koreans. They all treat me very, very good.
When both countries get united, our job is to find his remaining body. Proclaim you an ambassador for peace. Applause, please. Four years at the prisoner of war in Japanese prison camp. And after coming back, and
the children in Korea had nothing. Little food, little clothing, little housing, especially the orphans. There was a place called Sacred Love Village, but I don't know the town that it was near, and it was all orphans run by nuns from Canada. And this was during the Korean War. And they did very well with the children. And one, his last name was Moon. He became a minister. He came to Canada, and he made a point of finding out where I was, because I gave him my beret. Just a little kid.
Well, on the one action that I was in that was really bad was what the Americans call the Great Bug Out, when the Chinese invaded and drove them back. And we had to go up to Shinampo to rescue some Americans. And at the time, we not only rescued Americans, we rescued Koreans who wanted to get on the lighters. Anybody who wanted to get on one of the ships to get out of there, they were welcome to get on. And I sat down, I was talking to this fellow about what I had done at Shinampo, and Ho Jung Jones came along. And Ho Jung said, "Were you at Shinampo?" And I says, "Yeah." She says, "You rescued my mother and father." And I was fortunate enough at one of the memorials out at the wall in Mississauga. She took me over and introduced me to her mom and dad. And I got to admit, I got a little choked up.
After going down to the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
우리는 늘 그들을 기억할 것입니다. 기억할 것입니다.
And all these guys in here that wear the same medals that I wear are my comrades on my right and my left side, and they have my back. And I feel very comfortable and at ease here. But please don't call me a hero or anything like that, because the heroes are buried at Busan. I'm a survivor.
Flags by the veterans of the Korean War.
This event means a lot for us. As a serving member of the Canadian Armed Forces, this gives us the time to reflect and acknowledge and celebrate the great work that was done by Canadians, by Korean and Allied soldiers in the conflict in Korea.
To me, as an immigrant to Canada, it's really important to me to ensure that we acknowledge the the appreciation that we have to the Korean veterans and for those that lost their lives during the Korean War.
The interaction was very rewarding to hear their story, to hear their commitment, but also the friendship that they kept since the combat in Korea. This is refreshing, and it keeps us, very thankful of the great sacrifice that a generation of soldiers did before us.
This year marks the 70th anniversary of the Battle of Capyan and 68 years since the signing of the armistice.
On behalf of a greater nation, I would like to begin by conveying my sincere respect and gratitude to you.
The city of Belleville has had a long-standing and special relationship with the people of South Korea. For the past 25 years, we've had a sister city relationship with Gunpo, and we are proud to host the
Korean culture that we're going to be enjoying here today. And that would have been a real shame. So I thank all of the veterans who answered the call. And I do really look forward to trying some of that Korean barbecue. Is that what I smell?
The COVID-19 pandemic made us skip the 2020 Korean Appreciation Day, which was in fact the 70th anniversary.
When I landed in Busan, or Busan in those days, now Busan, I remember the orphans that were on the street and the beggars. And I think I gave away all my cigarettes and chocolate and so on to the kids.
I don't remember seeing much of anything that looked, like a city or even a village. Most of it was pretty well destroyed.
Beginning of May in 1951, we moved our SP self-propelled guns from Busan to Daegu, and we exchanged them for Sherman tanks, Mark IV. And from there, we drove all the way up to the Imjim.
Without you, Canada would not be like the Canada we know today.
I will grow up to be on all those whose dreams to maintain world peace.
The other thing was we had what were called houseboys, and these were mostly orphans, and so it was kind of wasn't really a chore for them, but they got them off the street. They were too young for the orphanages, or too old for the orphanages, and too young for enlistment in the army. So, but we looked after them, and they looked after us, and we kept up. I kept up my acquaintanceship with my particular houseboy for many years afterwards. He became eventually a medical technician, and then he died. He died very suddenly, so I think it was a traffic accident, and we lost touch, of course, with the family after that. Yeah.
Right.
So that's my memories, of course.
And I went there in 2010.
2010.
And I was back there again, I think 3 years ago, for a Remembrance Day. And to see so many people, when I was there, we'd never realized there was that many people in the country. They were all gone. And I was very impressed with how things were, how things had developed over that time.
I did a revisit 5 years ago, and was so grateful for the Korean people and what they've done with the country since I last saw it. It was a memorable occasion, especially meeting the young kids.
At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
6 months after I came back from Korea. And the biggest surprise of all was that I had PTSD and also terrific mood swings I didn't even know I had. And I found out afterwards, 2007, visiting my doctor then, they told me I had PTSD. And
unlike other veterans returning from other wars, we were the forgotten veterans, I think. It began to really say that people had forgotten that war.
Including the 516 Canadians who made the ultimate sacrifice, and I think it's really important to pass that on, the history on, to our children as well.
It feels great to see that our friends were always so much appreciated, and that to meet so many of the Korean people that I have, and it all comes together when a meeting like this, and I certainly enjoy it.
Good. Yeah, I really enjoy the events that you people put on. All kinds of things. There's my veteran friend standing right behind you. Yeah, he's 30 years in the Navy, and we have, I should imagine maybe an hour or hour and a half, 2 or 3 times a week at my apartment, and we gab about the Navy and the career and Second World War, and everywhere I've been, everywhere he's been. Thank you for asking us. We really enjoy it. Thank you very much.
It was first time in a year and a half that we were able to gather the veterans and families. After over 70 years, they had kept their friendship and loyalty between each other. The part of them that they left in Korea is now a legacy that builds Korea as beautiful as it is in present days. To acknowledge those who could not gather at the event, we sent a special package to Sunnybrook Veterans Unit. We will always remember.